Okay. In the last lectures, we were discussing about introduction to lipids or fats, fatty acids. In that, we had discussed so far about what are fatty acids. So fatty acids are straight chain organic acid, usually containing even number of carbon atoms that can be saturated or unsaturated. Saturated means they have one single bond, one covalent bond. Unsaturated means one or more double bonds. Yes, so the same thing we described also melting point for such compounds. The greater the degree of unsaturation and the lower the melting point, unsaturated fatty acids have lower melting point compared to the saturated fatty acid. We saw a few examples of the same. Just to remind, we saw here the carbon fatty acid, stearic acid, which has a melting point of 70 degree because it does not have any double bond. Then we saw a compound with one double bond oleic acid that has a melting point of 13 degrees Celsius. Two double bonds with linoleic acid that has a melting point of -5 degrees Celsius, and three double bonds linolenic acid which has a melting point of -10 degrees Celsius. So this is how with more number of double bonds there is a decrease in the melting point of such compounds. These were examples. A few of them you have to remember, already discussed: butyric acid, capronic acid, caprylic acid, lauric acid, palmitic acid, stearic acid. These are common ones that you consume. The source also that you obtain from the oils that may be called for coconut oil, palm oil, olive oils, even the peanut butter oil and the butter fat. These are again oleic acid from the olive oil, linoleic acid, linseed oil, linolenic acid, linseed oil. You need to remember these three specially. Yeah? Oleic acid, linoleic and linolenic acid. We are going to discuss a brief about them in the today's session itself. So if you want to divide unsaturated fatty acids, that can be again subdivided into three subclasses: mono unsaturated, poly unsaturated, and icosanoids. Now icosanoids are signaling molecules, you can say, which include prostaglandin, lines, prostacyclin, and thromboxane. Now prostaglandin, you might have heard the term. તમને આ term ખબર હશે. It is one kind of hormone. Yes, that means your body. Yes, lycotrines, they are mainly responsible for inflammatory processes, or you can say the process in which there is lycotrines. They are like WBC cells. They will be responsible for the processes going on in the body during the inflammatory processes. Prostacyclin and thromboxane, they are mainly responsible when clotting is needed. So hence the name prostacyclin and thromboxane. They are responsible for clotting process. They actively participate in the process of clotting. Yes, so prostaglandins are again, as we discussed, they are hormone-like structures. These as a whole, icosanoid એટલે કે એવો class છે fatty acids નો or lipids નો જેમાં mainly enzymatic or non-enzymatic activities through a બનેલા હોય. Yes, prostaglandins are responsible for hormonal activities. Lycotrines responsible for inflammatory processes or activities as a mediator. Prostacyclin and thromboxane, they are responsible for clotting process. Yes, you need to remember the names, you need to remember their function. Preferably write it once you have understood it. Yes, because when I be sharing even the presentation, it will not be written in the presentation. You will have to Google it out or search it from the book. So it is better you write it so that you can refer it from the books itself yourself. Linoleic acid. Yes, first is linoleic acid. It is an essential fatty acid, essential for the complete nutrition of the human body. It cannot be synthesized in the body, it must be supplied from food we eat. Now this is an essential fatty acid. Essential means બહારથી આપણે લેવું પડે. Why? It is not formed in the body. So from linoleic acid there are other acids which can be formed, but linoleic acid is the prerequisite for which it can be formed. It can be transferred to other acids. So it is an essential fatty acid. Why essential? For nutrition it is at most needed for humans. If it is not there, then there are chances the in infants it can cause eczema also. Eczema is a itchy inflammation of the skin. We are going to see that in detail. So arachidonic and linolenic acid are formed from linoleic acid. Yes, a banne acid, linolenic acid and arachidonic acid, they are formed and synthesized by our body from linoleic acid. Here we discussed about the linoleic acid. Remember this. Linoleic acid essential છે, આપણે બહારથી લેવું પડે, પણ એમાંથી synthesize થશે arachidonic acid and linolenic acid. Linoleic acid is be found in the large concentration of corn, cottonseed, peanut and soybean oil. So these are the four main sources of linoleic acid which we have to gain from outside. What are they? Corn, cottonseed, peanut and soybean. Yes, but it is not found in coconut oil and olive oil. So if you are using coconut oil and olive oil, you are missing out on this essential fatty acid, essential lipid that our body needs. Yes, so ask your mother if you are a girl, if you are already cooking, then of course you might be knowing which oil you are using in cooking. So it is advisable to use corn, cottonseed oil, peanut oil and soybean oil for cooking purpose. Because why? Because it contains essential fatty acid, linoleic acid. Yes, linoleic fatty acid. One of the function of this fatty acid is to synthesis of prostaglandin. Prostaglandin, as we described, they are major portion of hormone like structure that mediate your immunity. Yes, they are responsible for your immunity. The absence of the essential fatty acid from the diet in an infant causes loss of weight. Yes, પહેલા તો તમારું weight decrease થશે. Fat contains a portion of your body, but if it is not there, it causes loss of weight and also eczema. So what is eczema? Eczema is nothing but itchiness, or you can say inflammation of the skin causing itchiness. Itchiness means anjodavi. Yes, so that is itchy inflammation of the skin on the whole body it causes. These conditions can be cured by administering corn oil or linseed oil. So these are rich, corn oil and linseed oil are rich in the linoleic acid, and thence it can be used to relieve eczema. Dietary saturated fat includes blood levels of LDL, low density lipoprotein, which aid in the deposition of cholesterol in the artery walls. Now you need to understand three important classifications of cholesterol also. If any one of your family members have undergone cholesterol or lipid profile, yes, like we do complete blood profile or CBC count that we do, RBCs ave, WBCs ave, your blood indices come, your platelet count comes, everything is there in CBC. The same way in cholesterol there are three main things. See, for HDL, LDL and VLDL. HDL, that is high density lipoprotein, LDL means low density lipoprotein, and VLDL is very low lipoprotein. VLDL and LDL are very bad for the body. Yes, they are bad proteins, bad lipoproteins for the body. એ જેટલા વધારે તમારું કોલેસ્ટ્રોલ વધારે બોડીમાં. HDL on the other hand, high density lipoprotein, good lipoprotein should be higher in amount. Yes, that is why a ratio of HDL by LDL is also important. Yes, HDL કરતા LDL કેટલું વધારે છે, એટલા chances of forming a disease known as atherosclerosis is more. Atherosclerosis, I am not sure what it is known in Gujarati, but that is concentration of cholesterol in the lumen of the blood vessels. Yes, જે blood vessels છે એના અંદર જ્યાંથી blood flow થાય છે continuously, એ hamper થતું જશે, નાશતું જશે. Why? Because of deposition of cholesterol. ત્યાં cholesterol જમા થાય. Yes, that process takes over months and years. Yes, and once complete blockage is there, there will be heart attack, or depending on the body part where it is, it will cause heart attack, brain stroke or other things, pulmonary hypotension. Yes, all these things are possible. So it is very bad if level of LDL increases in the blood. So dietary saturated fat increase the blood level of LDL. So dietary saturated fat, if you intake more amount of saturated fat, that is bad for the body. Yes, which aid in the deposition of cholesterol on the artery wall. The cholesterol arterial walls ma deposit thase will cause arterial lumen, arterial walls ne જાડુ કરશે, thick કરશે અને lumen નાનું થતું જશે. Lumen નાનું થશે એટલે blood ઓછું જશે આગળ, blood ઓછું જશે આગળ, તો there will be sign and symptoms. Partially hydrogenated vegetable oils have been substituted for saturated fat as well as to lower the both cholesterol and LDL levels in the blood, but those effects were opposite to the which were desired. So initially we thought that hydrogenated vegetable oil can be used, but why should we use it? To decrease LDL and cholesterol, but that proved to be opposite. LDL and cholesterol nu level વધારી દીધું. Hence now we are not using hydrogenated vegetable oils. Yes, initially it was thought that LDL and cholesterol both will decrease, but now it has been found through studies that this is not decreasing, this is increasing LDL levels and cholesterol. Natural vegetable oils containing primarily cis and cis isomers but partially hydrogenated polymer products, a mixture of cis and trans isomers. In the trans isomer that cause the undesirable effects such as lowering of HDL, the good cholesterol, raising the LDL, that is bad cholesterol levels, and raising total cholesterol levels. Now what is cis, what is trans? So cis is the structure normally we see. Yes, we talked about this in the carbohydrates. Yes, normal structure hoy એનું તમે એક પણ mirror image જો બનાવો, that is known as trans of that same isomer. Isomer is nothing but the structure. Yes, so cis is the same structure, trans is the opposite or mirror image of that structure. So it was again found natural vegetable oils containing primarily same isomer but partially hydrogenated products of mixture of since same and opposite isomers in the trans isomer that cause many undesirable effects such as lowering of HDL. Now HDL, as we described, is a good cholesterol, e પણ ઘટવા માંડે, or LDL increase થવા માંડે, cholesterol increase થવા માંડે, so that is not desirable. So natural vegetable oils were also not desired for our intake. Yes, that was the main thing. So both hydrogenated vegetable oil and natural vegetable oils directly were not desired for our use. Yes, from this studies it is known to us. Which were the main things? Cotton, peanut, sesame. These are the main regions or main sources of the fatty acids through which we can regulate our lipids or lipid profile in the body. Yeah. Coming to classification of fatty acids or classification of lipids. So first is simple lipids and second will be the complex lipids. So simple esters of fatty acids, the hydrolysis of a simple lipid may be expressed as simple acid, simple lipid plus H2O. H2O આપણે add કરીશું, thence it is known as, it will break the H2O, it will use the H2O. So H2O break થાય એને કહેવાય hydrolysis. Yes, lead to fatty acid and alcohol formation. Fatty acid and alcohol can be formed, or fatty acid and glyceride can be formed. So if the hydrolysis of a simple lipid yield 3 fatty acid and glycerol, simple lipid is called as a free fat or an oil. So simple lipid છે, lipid is from what? Fatty acid and glycerol. So fatty acid and glycerol જો તમે simple lipid break થાય, એમાં water add કરો, એ break થાય અને fatty acid, and it is instead of alcohol it is from glycerol, then this is termed as a fat or a oil. If hydrolysis yields fatty acid and higher molecule mass of monohydric alcohol, this lipid is wax. So આ simple lipid જે છે આ wax કહેવાશે. શું કામ? Because it is yielding an alcohol. Depending on the group it yields on hydrolysis, one group fatty acid સાથે આવશે hydrolysis process ને કરીને, એના ઉપરથી નામ પડશે. Yes, so if we want to name this lipid as fat, here it should be glycerol, 3 fatty acid and a glycerol. Why? Glycerol has 3 OH ions, so that will combine with 3 fatty acid. Yes, that is why form a simple fat or an oil. હવે simple lipid plus H2O, which this process is hydrolysis, yields fatty acid and alcohol, then alcohol is yield, hence it is termed as simple lipid, that is wax. Yeah, same thing, આમાં બે વસ્તુ છે. First, hydrolysis leads to fatty acid and glycerol, તો એને કહેવાશે fat. Hydrolysis yields fatty acid and alcohol, then that is wax. Complex lipid. So on hydrolysis yields one or more fatty acids and alcohol in some other types of compound. Yes, so આમાં બે જ product possible છે, fatty acid with alcohol or fatty acid with glycerol, બે જ product. પણ જો આમાં third product પણ add થઈ જાય, any other product, that will be complex lipid. Simple. બે જ પ્રોડક્ટ ફોર્મ થાય, that is simple lipid. 3 પ્રોડક્ટ or વધારે ફોર્મ થાય, that is complex lipid. Yes, hydrolysis yield one of fatty acid, alcohol and some other type of complex. 3 વસ્તુ. Yes, fatty acid તો થવાનું, alcohol તો થવાનું, and third something extra will be. In this category are phospholipids and glycolipids. As the name suggests, phosphorus related compound હશે તો phospholipid, glyco related to any carbohydrate compound, that will be glycolipid. So phospholipid on hydrolysis lead to fatty acid, alcohol, એ તો fix જ છે. Phosphoric acid and nitrogen compound. So phosphoric acid, that is phospho part, yes, and nitrogen compound, that is excessive part. Glycolipid, that is on hydrolysis, fatty acid plus alcohol. Alcohol here is sphingosine. Yes, sphingosine is a, you can say, 18 carbon amino alcohol. Yes, it is a name of an alcohol which is a 18 compound alcohol, and there will be formation of carbohydrate. Yes, so here it is glycolipids. Glyco means presence of carbohydrates. Carbohydrate, fatty acid and alcohol to hova જ જોઈએ, 3 compounds. So fatty acids, sphingosine. Sphingosine, if you don't remember, it is fine, you just remember it is alcohol. Yes, and carbohydrate, that is glycolipid. And phospholipid, fatty acid, alcohol, phosphoric acid, that is the phospho compound, and the nitrogen compound, that will be extra. Precursor and derived lipids are compound produced when simple and complex lipids undergo hydrolysis. Yes, so whenever lipids undergo hydrolysis, so these are all examples, simple and complex. A simple lipid hoy ke complex lipid hoy, yes, e jyare પણ hydrolysis through જશે અને જે પણ compound form થશે એ precursor અથવા તો lipids કહેવાશે. They include substances such as fatty acid, glycerol, sphingosine, that is alcohol, and other alcohols. This sphingosine is a type of alcohol itself, 18 compound amino alcohol, you need to remember. So કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ જે fatty acid ના breakdown થી form થાય, they are termed as precursors. Derived lipids are formed by metabolic transformation of fatty acids. They include ketone bodies, steroids, fatty aldehydes, prostaglandins and lipid soluble vitamins. હવે આમાંથી જે fatty acids form થયા, એમાંથી તમે કોક lipid બનાવો, that is derived lipids. Yes, derived lipids again will have many functions, including they will form ketone bodies, they will form steroids, they will form fatty aldehydes, prostaglandins and lipid soluble vitamins. Yes, now here main question is કે આપણે બંને process જોઈએ. Yes, the first was deriving from the lipids fatty acid. Simple lipids માંથી fatty acids form થયા, અને એ fatty acids ને use કરીને આપણે ત્રીજી જ કોક વસ્તુ બનાવી છે, that is derived lipids. These natural processes are continuously happening in the body at all times. Yes, we ingest lipids, આપણે બહારથી linoleic acid લઈએ છીએ, એમાંથી different બીજા lipids બને છે. Yes, so that is derived lipids. આપણે કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ intake કરીએ છીએ, see, from the mouth it will go to the esophagus, to the stomach, to the small intestine, large intestine, from it will go into the blood. Yes, after the digestion and absorption part, digest and absorb થયા પછી એ directly જશે liver માં, from the liver to the whole body. Yes, so whenever we are digesting it, lipids will be broken down into fatty acids and alcohol, glycerol, all those things. Yes, substitutes જે છે જેમાંથી બનેલું છે એમાં breakdown થશે. Then depending on the body's demand, it will form new types of lipids, that is termed as derived lipids. Yes, that is what we talked about, derived lipids. These are formed by metabolic transformation of fatty acid. Metabolic transformation means through metabolism they are transferred. Metabolism happens in the body. Yes, so these are derived lipids are formed from fatty acids in the body, including the ketone bodies, steroids, fatty aldehyde, prostaglandin and lipid soluble vitamin. Depending on what is needed in the body, જેનું પણ concentration ઓછું હશે, body એ પ્રમાણે એને produce કરશે, lipids બનાવશે, that is derived lipids. Coming to fats and oils. Yes, we saw what are fats and oils. Yes, here. So if hydrolysis leads to 3 fatty acid and glycerol, this is known as fat or an oil. Yes, if on hydrolysis, simple lipid on hydrolysis gives free fatty acid, 3 free fatty acid and glycerol, it will be termed as fat or oil. So these are esters, that is formation or collection of fats, 3 fatty acids and a glycerol. So combination of fatty acid with one particular alcohol glycerol, that is fat. If one molecule of glycerol reacts with one molecule of stearic acid, a fatty acid, glyceryl monocitrate is formed. Yes, if you remember the term, that is good. If you don't, that is fine also. Yes. So if one molecule of glycerol reacts with one molecule of stearic acid or a type of a fatty acid, it will form glycerate monocitrate, single. Yes. As the degree of unsaturation of the fatty acid increases, now again comes the role of saturated and unsaturated, what we discussed. That is why we started with the revision. Yes, saturated means there is no double bond. Unsaturated means presence of double bond. So as the degree of unsaturation of the fatty acid increases, melting point decreases. We have seen this directly. Yes, જેમ જેમ double bond વધતા જતા હતા એટલું જ melting point decrease થતું હતું. Fat with a melting point below room temperature are called oils. એટલે એને classify કરવું હોય તો fat જેનું melting point below room temperature હોય એને કહેવાશે oil. Yes, that is simple classification. We are talking about melting point. What is the difference between melting point and boiling point? Chemistry. Simple terms. Melting point. Difference between melting point and boiling point. What is it? Yes, can anyone tell me?
Point at which solid turns into liquid is the melting point, and the liquid turns into gas is known as boiling point.
Very true, extremely true. So the point at which the solid gets converted to liquid. Yes, solid state to liquid state. Yes, three main states of any particle. Yes, solid, liquid and gas. So solid mathi liquid je pointed થાય, that is melting point, and from liquid moving to the directly into the gaseous form. Yes, gas state, that is the boiling point. So melting point below room temperature. Yes, that is termed as oil. So you see all your oils that you see that we are getting, even for the cooking, may that be in another form, that are all at in liquid state. Yes, why? Because they are named oil because their melting point is different or lower than the room temperature. Okay, can anyone tell what is the normal body temperature of a human being? Normal body
37
temperature.
degrees Celsius.
Exactly, 37.5 to be very precise. It is 37.5 degrees Celsius. And ideally, what would be the room temperature? In which ideal room temperature, if you can think of, without heat, without cold?
27 around.
No, it cannot be 37.5. Why? Because we are warm-blooded animals. Yes, so our blood itself is warmer compared to the environment, so it should be something which is cooler than 37 degrees Celsius. So it is around 30 to 32 or 34 degrees. Yes, so any lipid that is having temperature melting point below 30 degrees Celsius will be termed as oil. Remember this. Yes, the glycerol molecule is 3 OH group. We already discussed 3 OH group is why it combines with 3 fatty acid molecule. એક ગ્લિસરોલમાં 3 OH ગ્રુપ હશે, તો એ 3 OH ગ્રુપ એક એક ફેટી એસિડ સાથે કમ્બાઈન થશે, એટલે કે એક ગ્લિસરોલ 3 ફેટી એસિડ સાથે કમ્બાઈન થશે. However, this fatty acid molecule do not have to be the same. Now fatty acids are of different type. Yes, they can be saturated, they can be unsaturated. We saw the list also. It is not necessary કે ત્રણે ત્રણ સરખા હોવા જોઈએ. એવું પણ જરૂરી નથી કે એક સેચ્યુરેટેડ હોય તો બીજું સેચ્યુરેટેડ જ હોવું જોઈએ. Second can be unsaturated, third can be again saturated, or a combination. Yes, so these fatty acid molecule do not have to be the same. Fat and oil can contain 3 different fatty acid molecule which can be saturated, unsaturated or even combination of saturated and unsaturated. એટલે કે એક જ glycerol molecule છે that is fixed. Then we are moving to fatty acid. So fatty acid again can be saturated or unsaturated. They can be saturated, all three can be saturated, all three can be unsaturated, there can be one saturated, two unsaturated, there can be two unsaturated or one saturated. Any combination is possible. Depending on which they are combining, their name will be there. Yes, they will be termed as simple lipid accordingly. Example of mixed triglyceride formed from the reaction of glycerol with three different fatty acid molecules are as follows. The fatty acids are oleic acid, stearic acid, and linoleic acid. Yes, so this is just an example. Oleic acid, stearic acid, and linoleic acid. If they all three combine, that is also a form of triglyceride that is formed, or a simple fatty acid or simple lipid that we already discussed. Yeah. Okay, this was about fats, introduction to fats. So we have completed two main things. The first was pH and buffers, and the second we discussed about introduction to all the three important dietary supplements that we are taking on regular basis. Most abundant we are taking is carbohydrates, second was proteins, and third we discussed about the fats. In all of them we discussed what are they, their main function, we saw about their classification, which are the subunits or the single most basic unit of all the three, and later on we discussed about their application, why they are important to us. Yes, so accordingly we have discussed. Any doubts till now in pH and buffer or introduction to carbohydrate, protein and fats, or our main nutrition supplements? Yes or no? Everyone should reply in the chat. Okay, fine. So next on we are going to see about few processes starting with carbohydrate, and first will be glycolysis. Yes, so majority of you will be knowing what is glycolysis, and we are going to describe what is it in terms of the whole cycle, why it is important, where it is happening in the body, and we'll also see how much amount of ATPs are calculated accordingly. Yes, in the next lectures. The last portion of the biochemistry according to your syllabus is nutrition. That will be covered by pile map. Yes, other whole I'll be covering. Yeah, okay, fine. Have you taken the attendance, Ayush?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we'll conclude the session here. We will continue in the next lecture about biochemistry more. Hope you have a good day. Be safe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You, sir.